Hello again, and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse, and I am back for another events and updates video because we are going to talk more tech and gaming news and announcements. Before I get into today's video any further, just want to let you know kind of what the plan is for the next couple of days because there are still going to be lots of events and announcements, I think up through like Tuesday. Um, so yesterday, as I'm recording this, I did a bonus video for you guys for kind of some of the pre-non E3 events. So your Sony State of Play and a couple other random games that I had heard about that have been recently announced. And then we actually watched, I watched live the Accessibility Showcase. And that was a pretty cool um, little summer event that featured games that had various levels of accessibility in them, and I definitely added a few more to my wish list, and I actually bought a couple that I kind of missed and I didn't really know about. So we'll be covering those at some point in the channel when I get a chance. Um, and just a quick word about the accessibility showcase. I did see some comments just on social media, and I think even on my channel, on my comments on my video. Yes, it is disappointing that all the games are not, blind accessible, screen reader accessible, that kind of a thing. And I agree. Um, but again, you have to keep in mind that accessibility does mean more than just blind accessibility because a lot of the features, they might help somebody with a cognitive impairment, hearing impairment, motor impairment, any combination. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad that I'm glad that everyone is represented. And there were a pretty decent number of games that were still supporting blind players. So that was cool. Um, in this video, we are going to cover last night's Summer Game Fest event and their announcements, and a little bit of the Devolver Digital, because those are always insane. Um, and then today we had Zlim Bratsky. His name is kind of a tongue twister to say. Zlim Bratsky. He covers a lot of retro first-person shooters and some other games. But I found him really through just his coverage of boomer shooters and such. And he had his own indie FPS showcase, which was about 2.5 hours long of just wow. Games, and more games. And we'll get to that today too. So that's what this video will be. And this will be released, I think, on Sunday as another bonus video. Because today, as you see, we're looking at my channel on the computer here. My most recent video for today is I finally have my hardware review and app review for the Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses and the MetaView app. Spoiler alert, they're pretty good. They have their limitations, and I'm sure they'll be added to and upgraded over time with software updates and such, but they are pretty cool. So check that out as well. Monday's video will be a little bit later simply because tomorrow we have, I think, God, there's like a PC gaming show event, I think either today or tomorrow. There's the Microsoft Xbox event tomorrow night that I'm just really curious about because I'm really wondering what they could announce. If they can kind of start trying to dig themselves out of the holes that they've found themselves in as of late. Are they finally gonna, give some release dates and more concrete information for all the games that have been in development for quite a while? They bought up like half a dozen companies or better in the last several years, and so we kind of need to see some games here eventually, people. So I honestly have no idea what to expect, but I'm morbidly curious. Monday, then, we also have a Ubisoft event, which I'm curious about, especially with the Star Wars Outlaws, which actually looks like it could be pretty good. And then, of course, WWDC, what with its AI focus and all. At least we would kind of anticipate that would be the case because that's what everybody else is doing. And as brain dead as Siri has been for the past, I mean, Siri was behind everybody else years ago. And now it's just, I mean, compared to everything else, man, you got to put her to sleep, man. Sorry, but she's pretty stupid. But yeah, so that I'm just going to try to do a video later on Monday and cover those types of things. Of course, I'm working that day, so I'm probably going to have to record and upload it after work. So Monday's video might be a little bit later. But that is the tentative plan. There may be some straggler announcements on Tuesday or something. Again, follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. I will be, reposting some of those that I hear on YouTube or that I hear on Twitter. So check those out. But that is, with all that out of the way, kick back, grab a refreshing beverage and maybe a snack because we got a lot to go through. And I'm going to do this as fast as I can because, like I said, there's a ton. We're going to start with the Summer Game Fest last night. And I got to admit, it wasn't a terrible show, but it wasn't great either. If I had to rate it, I'd probably give it around a 5 out of 10, because I don't know. There were a few things that annoyed me. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some pretty awesome games in there. But there were things that I just either wasn't interested in, and then other things that also happened. So that's my overall thoughts about it. But as far as what we started, I did try to tune into the audio description feed on YouTube. There is a separate video with an audio description track, or there was supposed to be. They had advertised that on social media prior to the event, which was great. But we started and there was no audio description. They had some technical issues, I guess, and I kind of hung out on that stream for a little while. And I finally actually after like a few trailers in, it actually just stopped. And I thought that it would come back, but then I switched to the main, I switched to their main stream because the audio description one went down. And I kept refreshing it every once in a while to see if it would actually come back. Unfortunately, it never did. So I don't know what happened. I'm not blaming anybody. But that is super disappointing because with the way those announcements fly, not only you have the game titles, you have, like little feature announcements or, betas or early access or demos or something. And a lot of that stuff, release dates, I just can't see them quick enough. So I'm really glad I didn't record the I keep wanting to call it Game Awards, the Summer Game Fest, because I was kind of pausing just to get the titles of the games, let alone any of the other supplementary information. So that was a huge bummer. I know that the Microsoft one and the Ubisoft one are supposed to have audio description, and I hope they work a lot better than this one did, because that was actually really disappointing. Before I go into the Game Fest, there was one game that I wrote down that I had heard about right before the show, so I wrote it down. Night Dive, the fine folks that have resurrected many a classic shooter. Their next project, I guess, is The Thing remastered, and that was a 2002-ish game. I played it on the original Xbox. I don't remember if I own it or if I rented it. I might have rented it, but I might own it too. I don't even remember. This was a third-person horror action game, I guess you could call it. Third-person. It was in like Antarctica or whatever, so you had heat was a factor. You had you and your small crew. You had to do the blood test to see who was infected and keep monitoring them. You had to shoot the little things, so to speak. it was a really kind of a cool game, and that's kind of a really surprise I didn't see coming back at all, especially since it's like a licensed property. So that was cool to see. Getting started with Summer Game Fest, I do appreciate that Jeff did address the industry layoffs. He didn't last year when we had a whole bunch of them last year, and then at the Game Awards. But eventually, you kind of if you care at all about the industry and the people behind it, the people responsible for making all these games and bringing them to us, like you have to eventually say something. And I'm glad he did. Maybe it could have been a little bit more, but he did touch on it a couple times throughout the evening, and I think it was a good start. The fact he's like, oh, okay, we have a lot of stuff to announce here tonight, but we have to acknowledge the people that make it. And even his little line about, I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but he said something like, we're also going to be focusing a bit more on indies this year. And developers, these big companies, he brought up like 10, he showed like 10 games that have come out this year. And the best sellers, like 8 out of 10 were indies and 2 were considered like a triple A. And that checks out really. And if you're a big company and you have really talented people, especially now, you're stupid if you let them go. Because if you treat them like shit, other people are either going to want them, your competition's going to want them, or they're just going to say, screw you, okay, I'm fired or I'm laid off, whatever. We're gonna pull a few people together and we're gonna start our indie studio and we're going to make our own games and whatever. I mean, it sucks for the people that got laid off, but I really hope that as many as they can still remain in the industry if they so choose. Um, so yeah, I mean, basically, treat your employees better, and not for gaming, but just for everything. Um, you know, these days it doesn't matter what business you're in. It could be pharmaceuticals or gaming or tech or education, whatever. It's all about the bottom line, and it's you have to post a profit right now. You can't, God forbid, you look at long-term goals or success. Your line chart has to grow bigger every year, um, at the expense of the people, just so your shareholders and your executives can earn some more freaking money, and it has to stop. But I won't get into that more here because I've done it already, and I'm sure I'll do it again. So I'm glad he at least acknowledged it. I talked about the audio description. They started out with Lego Horizon Adventure. So Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West. I covered the accessibility of the second game. Was it last year on the channel? Maybe 2 years ago now. This one is more like almost like a Minecraft Dungeons-esque, kind of like an isometric traditional Lego game. Aloy is doing a lot more talking, and I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting. I'd probably check it out. Really cartoony, and of course, like a Lego game would be. So that looked pretty decent. And that was interesting because it's coming to PlayStation, but also the Switch and PC. But despite Microsoft giving some of their properties, letting them come out on Sony platforms, Xbox definitely, they got snubbed on that one. It's not coming to everything, so they did not say it's coming to Xbox, at least right now. Thought that was sort of an interesting thing. No More Room in Hell. This one, I don't know enough about it, but they showed some gameplay footage, and even sort of like the video that they showed, they kind of spliced with the characters. It kind of gave me a Left 4 Dead intro vibe when they have those like Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 intro videos. But they showed some gameplay. It looked pretty dang sharp. I guess it's like a 4 to 8 person first person shooter. Like I said, it gave me some Left 4 Dead vibes. They had some zombies and stuff going on. They mentioned something about permadeath. I really, really, really hope that they allow solo play and make it playable that way, or I hope they allow bots like they did in Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, or even things like, Warhammer Vermintide games, because that's how I learn the levels. That's how I get used to the game. And if I don't have anyone to play with, I do want to play the game. Even Back 4 Blood at least had that. Um, I am very curious to learn more about it. And I guess there's an early access coming out in October for that, so we'll see. Harry Potter Quidditch Champion, that is coming out in, I believe, September. And I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. Hogwarts Legacy, I like to fly the broom around, or, um, the hippogriff mount that I got. But I don't know. Like, it could be cool. It really comes down to how easy it is to see all the balls, the quaffle and everything like that, and all the bludgers and all, or all those different things, and then like how easy it is to control, how to fly in midair and do what you need to do. That's coming out in September. Cuff Bust. I don't remember what the heck this was. Some kind of action game, I think. Again, there's so many games that I looked at in the last 2 days. I'm not going to remember exactly what they were. But it looked rather unique, and I'm sort of curious to learn more. Star Wars Outlaw, they had a little bit of a teaser on that. We're definitely going to see more. I don't know if we will at Microsoft, but I know we will at Ubisoft. I can guarantee you that. I may have a little bit more to say about that too, but that's all I'm going to say. But it looks pretty good. I really, really want it to be good, and I want it to have accessibility features because it kind of gives me like a Mass Effect vibe. Yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty promising actually. Civilization 7, they did a little bit of a teaser for that, but they said you're going to have to wait until like August for the full unveil. I've never been into the Civs. I mean, the only way that I ever would even try is if it had full menu narration and ways to navigate it as a blind user, because there is so much UI in that game that it's not even funny. I wouldn't even begin to attempt to try to play one of those games without a massive amount of accessibility, blind accessibility included. This Wulong game, I don't know, it looked like it could be interesting. The other problem is, again, a lot of your traditional companies, not your indie games are better about it usually. But like a lot of these like mid to high tier or mid to AAA developers, I don't want to see CG. Like you can have a little bit of it, but I want to see the damn gameplay. Um, some of the games is like I don't even know what the hell kind of game it is because you just give me a little bit of story, you give me some CG stuff. Um, I think it's like like an actiony third persony type of game to some degree of some sort. Because there was Wulong Fallen Dynasty, and then there's this one here. But yeah, Asgard's Wrath, that looked like it could be interesting. Again, I think that was kind of an actiony type of game. A lot of CG in that one, if I remember correctly, but I'm pretty curious about that. Space Marine 2, this one looks like a lot of fun. I tried the first game and I really, really wanted to like it. I found it rather kind of hard. I sucked at it really badly. I kind of need to go back and try Space Marine 1 again because, I mean, I love, it's third person shooter. You got this big hammer. You got a jetpack eventually. You're fighting these orcs. But Space Marine 2 looks pretty badass. Batman Arkham Shadow VR. I don't know how much gameplay is going to be in there. I think it's a Quest exclusive. No, it's a Sony, I think. Either way, I don't have a headset that'll run it anyway. And I think it's only, if it is, it's Quest 3 and or PlayStation 2 VR. I don't have either, and who knows how accessible that's going to be. They had a couple of Street Fighter characters announced. M. Bison, And I forget who the other guy was. Somebody I think from like Fatal Fury. I forget his name, but I don't know. I want to like Street Fighter 2. They kind of had a few accessibility things in it, but especially after playing Mortal Kombat 1, there was some real jank about the accessibility, and so I couldn't get into that game near as much as I wanted to. I respect that it's good, but I have way too much other stuff to play. Um, Tears of Metal. This one is like I don't know if it's kind of like a Dynasty Warriors type of thing because there's tons of dudes on this medieval battlefield. You're hacking and slashing dudes. There's castles. There's like I said, there's tons of enemies. I'm pretty curious about that. So yeah, Tears of Metal. That one I am actually looking forward to quite a bit. I want to see more of that. Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. I have no clue what the hell's going on in this game. I think it's like a type of like the Dragon Ball Budokai or Budaki kind of games, whatever. They basically it's particle effects the game. I mean, it's like their whole charging thing, and there's beams and particles and sparks and flames, and I don't know what the hell was going on in that trailer, but there was a lot of. If you like Dragon Ball, you're probably gonna like it. Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, upcoming fighter. I tried some of the earlier Fatal Fury games and they were cool for what they were, but I was terrible at them. I got my ass kicked when trying to play a Fatal Fury game. So, I respect it for what it is, but I'm not sure I'm going to be all gung ho on it, at least right away, maybe on a sale or something. Mecha Break. This one, it's like an online, I think, like a mech shooter type of thing. I don't know if it's free to play, if it's going to be again anything multiplayer these days. I'm almost I'm almost gun shy just because it's going to just be freaking microtransactions and season passes and all this other bullshit that I don't have time for or care about. Um, Power Ranger, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Rita's Rewind. I've never been a huge Power Rangers fan. I was mad back in the day because I was a TMNT fan, as you all well know by this point, and the Power Rangers kind of took over. Like once TMNT Mania died, the Power Rangers were the next thing. I had a friend that really got into them, at least in the beginning. And I watched it with him. I mean, it was sort of amusing. I watched maybe the first couple seasons because he would record them on tape. Um, so like I don't know. There was like the Red Ranger, and then like I knew about like the right with the White Ranger, and then something beyond that. I don't have a freaking clue. That's been going on forever since. But basically, they're taking I think the Shredder's Revenge engine and making a beat 'em up out of the Power Rangers. And it's not just beat 'em up, they have some other kind of mini games or different levels with different types of gameplay to mix things up. And it looked pretty good. Um I would play it, and I think that's supposed to. They didn't give a date, but I think they said they're aiming for this year at some point. So yeah, I mean, if it's another beat 'em up, I mean, hell, I'll play it. Why not? Yeah. Um, a couple other ones that I hope also come out this year. They weren't at the Summer Game Fest, but we have the GI Joe Brawler. I did see a trailer for that yesterday, just on the random YouTubes from some other event, and yeah, that Brawler looks pretty fun. I think that's estimated for this year. I hope. And then Toxic Crusaders. I saw that trailer off to the side as well, and of course you have Psycho Stick doing their cover for that. I covered the demo of that game, so if you want to check out another cool brawler based on a property I know very little to nothing about, that one looked like a lot. It was a lot of fun. The demo was actually really fun. So check out that demo time video. But yeah, so we got some good beat 'em up brawlers coming. So I'm also into that. Heck yeah. Dear and Boy. This was kind of a There's a few of these types of games. It looks like there was kind of like a 2D side scrolling, but really just sort of like a really beautiful kind of artistic look to it. there was a game that I was going to do a video for, but I struggled with it a little bit too much. Because it was just the contrast and some things were really hard to see, like when the path branched. You were playing a fox, and I can't remember the name of it. I finally got around to playing it a few months ago. But it really gives me that sort of a vibe. It's going to be like an exploration, maybe a little platforming, um, that kind of a thing. So I don't know. We'll see. A little bit of puzzles and stuff. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I am very curious about this game. I can't remember if I ended up buying the first one or if it's just still on my wish list. I was really interested in the first game. It's a medieval first-person fantasy. They go pretty hardcore on the mechanics and everything. Um, but when it came out, I think I saw a couple other people playing it on YouTube and Twitch and whatnot. And just some of the UI stuff and like the waypoints or trying to figure out where to go in the world. I think I saw Max playing it, Max Angor. I think I saw him playing it one time, and there was like this chase mission or something, and it was like hard to figure out where to go. So I haven't gotten around to trying the first one yet, but the second one seems to have like almost a little bit more humor. They were dropping F-bombs and telling the other side to kiss their ass, and I don't know. I mean, it looks like if I could find time to get into it, because again, this is a whole huge, complicated first-person RPG. So when the hell am I gonna have time to find time to play that? I have no idea. The first game, let alone the second one. But I am cautiously hopeful that I would be able to play it at some point. Slitherhead, I don't know. This is from the Silent Hill guy. I don't know what the hell this game is. It's like a third person thing. There's weird monstrosities. He's like shooting. I don't know, man. It's third person. It's actiony, horror. It's weird. I mean, just like you think something from the Silent Hill creator would be. I don't know. It may be something I might be into. It may not. I don't know. That one I'm going to wait for probably more impressions or more reviews or something. But that's a thing. This was my game of the show. Killer Bean. I don't know if I've ever heard of it before, but they had like a little gameplay trailer for it. This game looks insane. It looks stupid, but in a great way. Like I love a good stupid game, with weird humor and whatnot. But it's supposed to be. It's a third person and third person. I guess you can play it either way. But you play this like it's really cartoony, and you play this Bean character, this Killer Bean guy. And it's kind of like Grand Theft Auto meets Max Payne meets, I guess it's like a roguelike or roguelite type of thing where like depending on what you do, like I was reading, I actually just followed the guy on Twitter and I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, I'm very interested in this game. I would love to know if there are going to be any accessibility features in it, and I would love to cover it on the channel if I could." So he hasn't gotten back to me yet, but I was looking at some of his posts after the trailer and everything, and like I said, you can play. You're shooting dudes. It's really like kind of aiming for humor. But you got like it looks like you might have some slowdown. You can like jump around for bullet time and shoot dudes, but then he's like jumping into a car and driving, like Grand Theft Auto Saints Row style. But they were saying like every time you play a new game or a new run, like the city will be different, locations, objectives will be different. Some people who were friends last time may be enemies, and vice versa. So I don't know. It looks like despite looking kind of, some people might be turned off because of the cartoony nature or just the humor in it, but it looks like there's a lot going on here, and that is. I was kind of getting a little, up to this point, but I saw that and that woke me up a little bit. That was, I think, definitely my game of the show. Killer Bean. I'm hoping, like I think an early access might be coming out sometime this year, but we'll see. That one I will definitely be looking at. Karen. I don't know how it's spelled really weirdly, but this is a climbing game. Like you're climbing a mountain. This lady climbing a mountain. It's got this realistic style to it. There's been a few games recently that have focused on climbing in a mountain and trying to find themselves and whatever. 2D, 3D, VR. I played one on Game Pass fairly recently that I didn't cover on the channel because I just wasn't feeling the vibes and I was sort of having trouble figuring out where to go. And that one was even a little more cartoony. Um, but this one, especially with its realistic look, I can see this being very frustrating for me as far as like figuring out, oh, where this is where I should put my, you're putting your tools into the mountain or where to put your hands and feet, or whatever the climbing mechanics are. It might be fun to watch, but I have a feeling it's not going to be a game that I will probably play. Watcher Stop, was it Watcher Stop or Water Stop? Whatever. But this is a game that apparently is from the Stanley Parable creator, which that got my attention. And apparently you're this girl who is working in a tea shop. She wanted to be a warrior, but they put her in this place, and now she's working in this tea shop and collecting, plants and everything, or, crops and everything, and serving people at the tea shop. And there's got to be a twist because at the end she's like sitting on a bench. I'm happy. Yeah, I'm really, really happy. I know, and it just starts getting dark. Like, there's got to be something. Like, I don't know if there's going to be like a war, because she mentions being a warrior or wanting to be a warrior, and so I don't know if there's going to be like combat in it, and like the world is going to catch up to her, or what, there's going to be there's going to be naturally some sort of twist. And I don't know if the story will branch in different paths the way the Stanley Parable did. But I'm willing to absolutely check it out because, again, I absolutely love the Stanley Parable, especially the remastered edition that I streamed a couple years ago when it came out. That was a freaking blast. So I really want to know what he's cooking up next, and it could be cool. Unknown 9 Awakening. Again, this was, I think, a lot of CG. I don't really know what this game is. I don't know if it's like actiony or stealth or I'm not exactly too sure. If there was gameplay, I really don't remember it much. Anatria. Again, some of these I don't know how to say. The Last Song. I don't remember much about this one either. I know it's some medieval game. That's really all I remember. I don't remember if it was third or first person. So Delta Force, they had a couple of different things. There's like the First Descendant. This is a first-person extraction shooter, which it looked okay, but I don't know. Again, it's one of those that might be a little harder for me to see. And again, with multiplayer, it's iffy. We'll have to see. So they talked about the other thing. This is where they also kind of tied when Jeff came out and mentioned the game developers. Midway through the show, they had a couple of people come out, the Among Us people, who are starting this basically this program to help indie developers who are struggling to find funding so they can release their game. And they highlighted really quickly a few developers that they're working with, and that's a great thing. It's like, hey, we struggled in the beginning, and then Among Us became such this huge hit that we were just raking in the money, and hey, let's give back to the community and give back to the people who helped us when we were struggling. So that was actually a really good break from all the trailers, and I think that was absolutely a great thing to have, and I'd love to see more of that. Among Us is getting a TV show, of course. Having not really played the game, I don't know, but it's got the cartoony characters. They really didn't have any voice acting, so I don't know what the whole spiel is, but That's supposed to be coming out at some point in the future. Sonic X Shadow Generations. So Sonic Generations, it was a combination of 2D and 3D. Hell, I might even cover it on the channel. I don't remember at this point. I know I've covered a few Sonic games on the channel, but they've added Shadow and I think a whole different campaign for him. So I don't know. I mean, it looked decent, but Sonic games are one of those that's really hard to tell. You know, you think you want them to be good, and then some of them are okay. Um, what was the one? Sonic Mania was actually quite good. Um, but there's been a lot of stinkers too. So some that looked really like they could be promising, and there's been some duds. So we'll just have to wait and see. But Generations, I think, has gotten pretty decent reviews, you know, when it came out. So I'm hoping this one will be good for Sonic fans. Dune Awakening. I know nothing about the Dune series. Dune, not Doom. Dune. I tried watching one of the movies. One of my former roommates was really into Dune, and I tried watching one of the movies. I just kind of got bored, and so I never really watched anymore. I've never read any of the books. Um, I don't know. I think it's it's a strategy game. So if you're into that, that's all I can really tell you about Dune, because all I know is there's sand and a sandworm and something about spice, and that's all I know. Battle Aces, it's an RTS game, although I do respect what they're trying to do here. I've never been into RTSs because I found them visually very hard to play. Friends of mine were really into Age of Empires 1 and 2 when I was in college. The only one I ever really got into was Dungeon Keeper 1 and 2. Those are the only ones I even really kind of got into. But this one, they're trying to, I don't know if they're going to add any accessibility features to it. But they had the developer talking a little bit there, and they were talking about, you know, they want to make it deep for long-time real-time strategy game fans, but they also want to cut out a lot of the crap that kind of makes them either too intimidating or boring. They want to kind of make it good for someone who just wants to try the genre. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to be, if they'll have any accessibility features in it. But I don't know. We'll see on that one. The Finals is getting some Japanese content, Japanese level setting. Again, it's a multiplayer game. I think it's like Unreal 5 or something. I mean, there's like a lot of destruction. There's things about this multiplayer game that look cool, but it's just nothing I've really gotten to try yet. You know, again, everything is so team focused and objective focused. I just want to run in, blow shit up, shoot dudes in the face, just give me a death match, free for all with destruction, and I would probably try that out if they had a mode with the level destruction and it was just free for all, everyone for themselves deathmatch. I might actually try that, but I don't know. Alan Wake 2. This was kind of a surprise. By the time you're seeing this, the DLC is already out. They're adding the Night Springs DLC, and later this fall they're having a special edition and a collector's physical edition. So people who want to get physical collector's editions of the game will be able to do so. I really, really wanted to like Alan Wake. Like I did, but I was struggling where to go. I was overlooking things in the environment. Like I even said that when I covered the game, there were things that I had trouble locating certain things even in the first area or two. Let's see. I know I got to the first boss. I'm trying to remember if I beat the first boss or if that's where I stopped because I was having so much trouble. I didn't have enough ammo or resources. But I just stopped playing it because I wanted to play it. I wanted to like it, but I was really sad because when, you know, Remedy, they made Control and they added a bunch of accessibility settings to it and they backslid. Alan Wake 2 was not as accessible as Control was, and so I don't know. This is again where people, if you don't play the games, if you don't buy the games and support them with your wallet, they could just decide, well, we tried it for this game, but no one really played it, no one used it, so screw it, we're just not going to do it for the next one. And I don't know if that's what happened, or if priorities changed, or ownership changed, or whatever, but I was really disappointed to see not at least the same level of accessibility as Control, because I was pretty optimistic before launch. New World Eternum, I think this is an MMO of some sorts. I don't know really anything about it. Yeah, I don't know. It looked sort of interesting, kind of a medieval thing, but I don't really know much about it. Dark and Darker, I guess it's a free-to-play game on Steam now. It got kicked off for a while. I don't remember what the controversy was. Some kind of a like horror shooter thingy, I think. Like a multiplayer thing. I don't know a whole lot about it. Canute, I don't even know how to say this. Kanutsugami. It's an action game. Capcom action game. It looks pretty cool. I'm intrigued to learn more about it. That could be kind of a neat one. Hyper Light Breaker. They had Hyper Light Drifter, which I briefly tried, and I need to try again because I was terrible at it. But this one's more 3D. Hyper Light Drifter was like a 2D Zelda-ish type of deal. And then Breaker is like more 3D, if I remember correctly. Kind of curious to learn more about it. Party Animals. This is kind of your goofy multiplayer game, like your Gang Beasts or what's that other Fall Guys type of thing? That's like you have mini games, you're a variety of different mini games. You're picking people up and throwing them around, knocking them over. It looked like there was a short little clip where there was a character in a cart, so maybe there's a kart racing mode. But it's just supposed to be some kind of goofy multiplayer fun, which I would maybe check out, especially maybe the kart racing part if it was any good. Skate. Everybody's been clamoring for this series to come back. And apparently what they showed was it's going to be an online focused game. So your multiplayer almost, I don't know if it's like MMO type, but it's heavily multiplayer focused. And I know from what little bit I've heard from other people so far, people were not super digging it. They wish they would show more like of a campaign. As a huge Tony Hawk game fan, I tried the original. I remember renting the original Skate game back in the day, and I just could not wrap my head around it. It's a totally different, more simulation-based control. It used the analog sticks, and I just never could figure it out really. So, if they did a really, really good tutorial on it, and maybe I could try to get into it again, because it's more focused. Like you're looking. Tony Hawk the camera was pulled back and you were looking at your skater. Skate was more like you get this really low camera aiming more down at your legs and your feet and the board itself. And so you were using the analog sticks and different like half circle or different motions. And it was just a totally different vibe, which again, if you're into it, you're into it. But I could just never get the hang of it. Paddle World is getting another update, I guess. A new island, or a new zone, I guess. This is a game I did briefly try on Game Pass, but oh boy. Again, not much in the way of accessibility, a lot of small print and UI, and trying to figure out where you're supposed to go. It has potential, but unless they really do add some accessibility, like I said, I haven't covered it yet, but if they do eventually make it easier to play, maybe I'll check it out again. But I don't know. It's neat for what it is. I mean, having played it a little bit, I'm like, yeah, okay, I could see this being fun if they made some of the user interface and menus and stuff easier to like figuring out where like waypoints and and navigation and stuff like that. If they made that stuff easier, I might get into it, but yeah. Valorant, yeah, this is a first-person shooter that's been out on PC and for ages. I think it's free to play. I've never got into it. I guess coming to consoles now. And they spent, I think, far too much time on this. It felt like about 10 minutes. Maybe it was only like 5, but like they did an initial trailer, then they had someone up on stage, and then they showed like another trailer thing or more gameplay or whatever. And I don't know. I don't know. I just don't care. I just don't really care about Valorant. Sorry. One thing I didn't put on here, but I have to talk about. It was right. I remember it was right around here. They had this live little, I don't know, it was some weird chicken game or mobile game. I don't know, it was some mobile game or something. That was way too long and it was dumb. It was stupid. I didn't like it at all. But it was like this guy in a chicken suit and there was these dudes like woke up this guy in bed and they were driving around to Nickelback and I don't know what the fuck was going on in that trailer or what that thing was supposed to be, but it was not funny. It was, I did not like it at all. Um, I just lost my place here. There we go. We're getting to the end of Game Fest here. So we had the the Monster Hunter Wilds. This game could be potentially interesting. Like, I've sort of been interested in the Monster Hunter games, especially since like Monster Hunter World and things like that. But again, it's kind of like a Diablo thing. You're always getting, when you kill monsters, you get parts and you use them to upgrade, and so you're going through these upgrade systems and crafting and comparing weapons and items and armor. If they would make that, if they would add text to speech for all the menus and stat screens and like that and stuff like they would for Diablo, the action part I think I might be able to get into more. But if they would make the user interface and menus and stuff more blind low vision friendly, maybe add some good navigation stuff to get around the world, I could see myself potentially trying one of these out again. But it looked kind of neat. I mean, the graphics were pretty solid. But again, it's one of those games that you have to sink a lot of time in to really learn it and to build your characters. So you can play solo or with other people, and so games like that, I just don't know when I'm going to find time to even play them, especially if I have to struggle with accessibility. And then they ended with Phantom Blade Zero. This game, I don't know if it's coming out this year or 2025. Third person hack and slash, like ninja type of game. I think it kind of looks almost like maybe not quite a Ninja Gaiden. I hope it's not really like a Souls-like, but I could see, like I saw elements of like Ninja Gaiden or, your Souls games of like just your character's pretty acrobatic and he is cutting dudes up with his blades and such. I mean, it looked really good. It would be definitely something I would be interested in playing. But yeah, so that was the Summer Game Fest. Again, there were a handful of games that I'm genuinely wanting to learn more about, and a couple that I really, really do want to play. Again, Killer Bean was my favorite. I hope I hear back from the developer, both about accessibility and hell, even being able to cover it on the channel, because I think that one could be a lot of fun. So after that, I kind of rounded up a few other trailers I saw on Twitter and on my YouTube feed, and I'll just talk a little bit about some of these. Tenjutsu. This one, again, another sort of actiony game that looked quite cool, actually. I definitely want to learn more about it. I'm pretty sure I wishlisted it on Steam. Angerfoot. I've covered the demo, I think, twice, different versions of the demo twice now. And it is coming in July. I want to say July 11th. So it's coming out very soon, which I am very happy about, because Angerfoot is crazy, and Angerfoot is good. It's like first person. Yeah, it's a shooter, but you basically your main attack is you kick dudes in the face, and then you pick up their guns. You shoot until it runs out of ammo. Then you chuck the gun at them and keep kicking things at them or kicking things into dudes. You get this really doof, 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 this like bass heavy pulsing music beat going on in the levels, and I mean you're fighting these weird anthropomorphic animal characters, and apparently like you can, depending on the different shoes that you equip or that you wear, they'll give you different perks, and so you unlock those in the game. But it looks like insanity. I will very much be playing that next month. Sea of Life. This is I saw this on Twitter yesterday, and it's like an indie developer. I don't know how far in he is, but it's like he said a GameCube era Zelda style game where you play as a wolf. I believe a wolf, if I remember correctly. And so if it's anything around like the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess era style traditional Zelda-esque game, yeah, I would totally play a game like that. I already talked about The Thing remastered. G.I. Joe, we talked about that. Etheria, I don't know how to say it. Seems to be like a Metroidvania type of game. That looks pretty rad. I'm looking forward to trying that out. Slope Crashers, saw this one on Twitter too. Another indie developer is making a snowboarding game that is supposed to, he kind of wants to bring back games like SSX, and those sort of, arcadey snowboarding games. And I am all about that because oh God, I remember in college playing SSX Tricky in the dorms and in college on the, when we went in the classrooms on the whatchamacallit, the projector, big screen, and we'd play some SSX Tricky. Oh, those games were fun. So I'm all about that. Old School Rally, a rally racing game. Kind of, they're trying to evoke the PlayStation 1 era graphics and racing game style. So I could definitely be into that, like a Sega Rally type of thing. I don't know how to say this. Ashran, or I don't even remember what it is. So I wrote it down hoping I would remember what it is, but unfortunately I don't remember even what the hell that is. Oh. Okay, so I didn't put a title or a separator here. So okay, apparently the one that I couldn't remember, it is a first-person shooter because now we are on to Zlim's Indie FPS Fest, and boy howdy, we're just going to cruise through some of these. I'm not going to give a big explanation on all of them because if I did, this would be a 3-hour video, but I will briefly talk about some of the ones I'm most anticipating. Now, the Indie FPS Showcase, I'd give that about a 9 because that one there was so many games. There were a couple that I was hoping maybe in addition tomorrow, I was hoping we'd get a Fallen Aces reveal, or release date reveal. Maybe hoping we'd hear about Brutal Fate, a few other shooters here and there that I know are out there. But I cannot, that's nothing though, because as you'll see, there were so many games, and even quite a few that I hadn't even heard of yet. So, Bad Blood, I did a video I did a demo time for this. I really want to like this game because it looks cool. It's got this noir thing happening. It's in black and white, but the visuals of it, they need to do something to make it more visually easier to see. Because I had some trouble trying to see the demo. As cool as it looked, it needs something to make it a little bit, something for like the characters to stand out, or elements of the environment, like the floor versus the wall versus whatever. it just things need to stand out a little bit better. Like I'm gonna keep my eye on it. Um, but it was one I really wanted to like, but I think I might struggle currently. Concrete Visions. So these first games, these were more dark, kind of more like dark and brutal type of games. That's kind of the way he labeled them because he split them up into different types of shooters. Develated. This one looks really cool. I'm trying to remember if I covered an early version of this, but I think it's now again there were a lot of like early access announcements, release date announcements, demo announcements, and things were just happening so fast in this showcase that I couldn't read it all. So I will tell you what I know about them, and I will tell you if I do sort of know what's happening with a release date or early access or something or a demo, but a lot of these I'm not going to know just because there was no audio description and it was just way too much for me to keep track of quickly. Develated looks really freaking cool. It's fast, it's gory. You have a guy that sounds like the voice actor from Blood, from like the guy who does Caleb. He really gives me a Caleb vibe. Like I don't know, you're some like demon or something, and you like eat dudes to get your health back. Like you kill them and then you can eat your enemies to get health back. It's crazy. But that one I'm really looking forward to, and I think that's coming out fairly soon, at least in early access. Um, I don't the title on this one was hard to read. It was almost like Bishop or Dishop or something like that. The graphics on it were really it almost looked like an Unreal 5 engine game because it was a really shiny looking thing and it looked kind of interesting. Like I want to figure out what it is because I do want to add it to my wish list and play it. Flaw. I know I've played it in some form. Again, some of these I may even I know I own some of them, but some of them I don't even know if I own them or if I played the demo. Um, but I know I've at least tried the demo of this. But this one also looks pretty decent. Kind of a darker retro shooter. Heartrender. I don't remember much of this one, but it was it kind of had a really unique art style from what I recall. And the thing I loved about almost all of these trailers, there was very little to almost no CG. Like these were all first person games in the showcase. And pretty much all the trailers were like 99% gameplay. Like you're looking down the barrel of the gun for 2.5 hours because that's what they were showing you. And that's great because it shows me what the game looks like, shows me what the crosshair looks like, it shows me what the contrast and just the UI. It's so helpful to know these things. KVLT, this looks actually really interesting. I think I tried an early version of it, but what I saw in the trailer today looked pretty promising. It's more of a darker kind of a game. I think this is one that maybe takes place in like is it a Russian thing? If it's the one I'm thinking of, but regardless, it looked pretty cool. That one I'll definitely be checking out. Neon Rain. This one was a little hard to gauge exactly what the whole game was going to be like, but it had a really unique art style, and I found it a little bit hard to see some of the just with the lighting effects and things. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to pan out for the whole game, but I don't know. Like I said, I'll keep an eye on it. What? Phobulus? I remember the name. I remember seeing it. I don't remember much about this one though. I think it looked kind of cool, but I can't tell you much about that one. Unfortunately, I don't remember much on that. Wretched. This one has been in development for quite a while. And I may have played again a very, very early version of it at some point, like a demo. Um, this one looked all right. It's kind of like one of the middle ones on my list. It's like, it's not one I'm dying to play, but it looked pretty cool, and I will definitely keep an eye on it. Captain Wayne. I don't remember if I did a video on it or not, but I know I played it fairly recently. And this game is batshit insane too, because this one, you've got your almighty boot, you're picking up weapons, it's got this sort of comic booky or like cartoony art style to it, and it's kind of difficult, but there's enemies and things flying all over the damn place in this one. I found the demo to be quite challenging. I don't remember if there were any difficulty settings even though, so I'm kind of hoping that the full game does include those, but I am absolutely Captain Wayne. I'm absolutely keeping an eye on that one. Incision. This one actually just got a major update. Or is this the one that is getting the update on the 10th? This might be the one that's getting updated on the 10th. But there's a lot of red, there's a lot of blood, and it's a lot of chaos. It looks frantic and pretty crazy. So yeah, I'll probably check it out. I think I already own it. Afterblast. I remember the name of this one. I remember seeing it. I don't remember much about it. I think it was more of a brightly colored shooter that looked pretty cool though. It's one that I think I added this one on my wish list today. Supplice. I gotta go back and play this game because if I did a video on it, I don't remember. I know I've played it in different forms. I own it. And I probably only played it when it was like episode 1 or something, or a demo, because I think they said episode 3 is coming out soon. And the gameplay that I saw for Supplice actually looked pretty cool. So that is one I need to go back and play some, because that one looks like I think I would enjoy that one quite a bit. Alien Boom Boom. This one, you're this guy on this spaceship or a space station. I remember seeing another trailer for it. I think I watched Slim actually stream it one time. Yeah, okay, yeah, this one, like you're in space, you got some dude on the radio talking to you, and there's like aliens and things flying around in space, you're shooting them. Kind of got a cartoony art style to it. I'm intrigued. I definitely want to learn more about that one. Brutal John. If I remember, I did a video for that one, and I already have the updated demo installed. I've had it installed for a few weeks, and I just haven't gotten around to playing it. But this one also looks promising. Yeah, I'm almost certain I did a video for Brutal John, a demo time video. So it kind of reminded me of like a build engine game, because it was like you were in a realistic environment type of place, but you were fighting aliens or something. I definitely want to play more of that. Calcium Contract. This one just looks freaking bizarre. Again, very weird art style, weird enemies. Might be a little bit harder to see in some cases. Some of the visuals might be a little bit loud. But yeah, Calcium Contract, that's one of those kind of wait and see, maybe try a demo, because I'm not sure if I'd be able to play this one super well or not. Cryptus, again, I remember the name. I don't remember much about it, but I thought it looked kind of cool. Darkenstein 3D. This is like Wolfenstein 3D, but a little bit more advanced, meets John Wick. Because yeah, I downloaded the demo for this one during the during the showcase today, and I'm very intrigued to play this one. This one, the reason I say it's like John Wick is because apparently, there's aliens or something. But they're like, yeah, you can come at me all you want, but the moment you take my dog, it's on. So I don't know if they took it or killed it or whatever, but yeah, he's pissed. And so yeah, Darkenstein 3D. Very much looking forward to trying that demo soon. Echo Point Nova. This one, I believe I know I've seen the trailer. I might have tried it. a demo or something. The combat looks fun, but if I remember correctly, there's a lot of like platforming, and I don't know if there's wall running, but there's just a lot of there's the certain branch of these boomer shooters that focus on like wall running and platforming and slides and kind of all this kind of stunt gameplay mixed in with the shooting. And I don't mind a little bit of that, but especially if there's like bottomless pits and whatnot, I just don't really get into those as much because I'm just not that. I'm old and uncoordinated apparently, along with visually impaired. So yay. Exophobia. This one I believe the release date is coming up pretty soon. I think in July. I tried playing it. I think this is the one where I couldn't. I started it, but I couldn't get the thing to load because it was stuck on one screen. But it's definitely got an old crunchy look to it. Kind of a, I don't know if I'd say Wolfenstein vibe, but kinda. I mean, it's definitely really old school. Um, Fida Puda Samurai. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I think I either downloaded the demo or I own this game. There's new content coming out for it or something. This game looks insane. It's one that I've never gotten around to playing. I think I might even own it. I picked it up recently. It's got kind of you're playing this lady and there's like swords and guns and anime. It's really anime focused. It's definitely got an anime vibe. She's spouting off one-liners and stuff. It looks again kind of crazy, kind of nuts. So expect some coverage on this one soon. I just covered this one on the channel because I got that code from the developer. Thank you, by the way. Flash of the Blade X. Kind of a very, just a straightforward, simple, largely melee focused first person shooter. A little bit of I got a bow or a crossbow or something. I literally released that video, I think, yesterday or the day before. Ghostware Arena of the Dead. I think that's actually hitting 1.0 very soon, or it just did. I haven't covered this on the channel, but I need to play more of it. It's got this campaign where it's like you're simulating kind of playing multiplayer with bots, and they have different personalities and things, so it's kind of like deathmatch. It's kind of neat, actually. Kook, Kook. This one, from what I had never seen the gameplay until today, and it looks all. This is another one I'm actually really looking forward to because this one just looks bizarre. This is like a boomer shooter that looks really interesting to play. Very kind of crazy. Morn. I downloaded the demo for this, since this is another demo that I really want to play because the gameplay on this also looked quite good. A fast-paced boomer shooter. Looks like there was a really good shotgun in there. Dudes were blowing apart quite nicely. So yeah, I'll be checking that out. Painted in Blood. Didn't get to see too much on that one. Kind of a darker, bloodier type of thing. But it looked, kind of middle of the road. I'm kind of curious to see what that's going to be. Reaper. This is one, I think it might be out already. It's by the same guys who did that other one that I just covered that I forgot the name of right now, the sword slashy one. Very, very similar art style, but very kind of Wolfenstein-esque. So I'll have to check that out. Now we get into games that are already out and they're getting updates. Project Warlock 1 and 2. I love these games because I played Project Warlock 1 several years ago. Streamed it a couple times, I think. I know Riley liked it. Project Warlock 2, I backed that on Kickstarter. They've got episode 1 and 2 currently out right now. And they're both really, really good games and fun. Great weapons, great enemies. killer soundtrack, awesome games. Only lead can stop them. I forget which one this is, but I know I've played it. I haven't covered it yet. I think I played the demo for it. But it's one that I will have to cover at some point. Retrowave 84. This one's kind of got this futuristic, like neon glowy Tron-esque style. From what I've seen with the update, it looks actually really cool, and it's another one I got to get around to playing. Reverend. This is another one by that same developer that did Reaper and the other sword game that I can never remember the name of the damn game. And I might be actually working with the developer to cover that game next month. So that should be soon. Whew. I don't know how to say this one, but it's something Arena, and it kind of has like this like old school sort of Quake deathmatch kind of vibe, which I'm sort of curious about actually. It could be really fun, especially if it does focus on deathmatch. Tagline, this is a like weird graffiti kind of black and whitish thing. I remember watching a review for it and thinking that it was really going to be hard to see with some of the contrast and a whole bunch of white on the screen at a time. But there's some updates for that, and I may check it out at some point if I can get it on sale. Mullet Mad Jack, I just recently did a video for that. Spoiler alert, it's freaking awesome. It's real good. Last Exterminator, I did a demo time video for that last year. I don't know when the release date is, but I hope it's soon because that game looks freaking great. It's like Duke Nukem, but with like aliens instead, or these like weird like bug creatures. It looks really, really good. And I've talked to the developer on Twitter a little bit, so he knows that he's going to try to keep in mind at least a few things for low vision accessibility. I hope he reaches out again because that one I'm very much looking forward to. Last Exterminator. Phoenix GP. Oh, I was going to look up what this game was because they had another name, and I need to figure out how to wishlist it because they didn't really explain it super well. But I remember it looked really, really cool, and I want to learn more about it. So that one I'm going to have to get back to you guys on, but I have to look at their website. There were a couple of Doom mods. Ashes Hard Reset. That one looked pretty interesting. Another, again, very Doom mod-esque. You could kind of tell right away. But that looked pretty good. Trenchfoot. This was like a World War I fighting dudes in trenches and throwing grenades and shooting dudes in the face. I don't know. It looked pretty good. Age of Hell. I've played that, either the demo or early access or something. I know I've played it, and it was pretty cool. This is from, I can't remember the name of the company. I think I have it written down further on down here somewhere. But they had several games featured in this showcase, and they're kind of like another New Blood Night Dive, because a lot of their games are some of the ones I'm really most looking forward to as far as retro shooters go. Disdained. I did a demo for this one. This one I do remember, and I very, very much want to play more Disdained. That game is fun as hell. Relentless Frontier is coming out, I want to say, like either in a couple weeks or next month. I gotta get a drink here. I've played it, and it's awesome. I don't think I've covered it on the channel, but I will wait. And I think its early access is coming soon. Hellslinger, I'm pretty sure I know I've played it, and I think I've done a demo time, or I think I've done a video for it. Again, this is another one that's pretty fun, that I'm very much looking forward to playing more of. Melipataka, I did a video for that one. This one's got this really weird, it's like an 8-bit style shooter, and there are things about it that are sort of hard to see because like everything is sort of bright and there's not some contrast for certain things. But I remember covering this on the channel fairly recently. Kind of a Wolfenstein Doom era-esque, but like really like an 8-bit art style, which is neat. Project Absentia. I know I saw a video a month or two ago. I forget the name of I can't remember the name of the channel. They had an interview with the developer, and I covered it on the channel ages ago. But he has really, really, really updated the demo since apparently, and I need to play more of that because I liked what I played, and it's just way more polished, and he's redone and overhauled some of the mechanics, and so that's one again almost kind of like a build engine style, but slightly different. You're a shooter. You're this again. You're a woman character. She talks a lot of smack, like Duke Nukem, and that. It just looks really good. Extranium. I've definitely covered this on the channel. It's a Wolfenstein 3D era game. I love it. It's just a pure old school shooter. It's fun. I love the art style. It's just fun to play. Really love it. Bears in Space. I recently covered that. Kind of a humorous bullet hell style first person shooter that I need to get back to. Couple of VR games. There's one called Just Read the Instructions, which it looks neat, but again, with everything happening around you, like you walk up to these terminals in this city and you're given these instructions. I wish they were voiced because it's like, oh, you need to bring this here or do this or kill so many of these things, but you have to know what you're supposed to do. And oftentimes you are given some sort of task in the environment while you're fending off enemies. But if I'm trying to read the kiosks or whatever, and stay alive, like there's a little bit of a visual issue. So it has potential, but I think there could be some accessibility issues for me with that one. Mega Blood. This was a very brief trailer. I don't remember much about that one, but it looked interesting. Nomad. This was again kind of a weird abstract art style one, if I remember correctly. Not quite sure what to think of it yet, but it might have some potential. Payloaders. This one looked interesting. This is one I didn't even know about, but it definitely caught my attention, and I remember adding it to my wish list on Steam today. So that one I will cover on the channel at some point for sure. Tales of Destruction. This was like I wonder if this. I know it had a very unique art style. I'm trying to remember if this was like the minimalist one, where like you had a lot of hard black and whites, and you were just going on these rooftops or whatever, and like you had a grappling hook. I'm trying to remember if it was that one. Again, look at how many these are all first-person shooters. They're not all boomer shooters, because you have some horror ones, you have some survival ones, you have some kind of like immersive sim style ones, which we're going to get to shortly. You definitely have some boomer shooters, but like there is so many. Viral or something like that. This one I wasn't sure what to make of it, but it's one of those ones I think I'd have to wait and see, but I am quite intrigued about it for sure. Rusty's Day Off. Like the art style and the presentation and the shooting look pretty fun, but I'm a little leery about this one because it looked like there was a lot of platforming in this one. This is going to be another one of those platformy, wall jumpy games, and I'm just not good at that. So it has potential, but we'll see if yours truly is skilled enough to be able to play it. Sentry, I've played the demo of this one. I wanted to like it. I like the art style, and I'm curious to see how it's going to be updated. But right now, it's a combination of a first-person shooter and tower defense, because you're in this ship, and enemies will start coming from different like different entryways, and you have to set up like traps and turrets and then run around and shoot dudes before they get into where they're not supposed to be. It looks interesting, but it's too hard for me to play right now, to see what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go. So I don't know about this one. Technoplasm. This is another one that had a lot of hard platforming in it. I believe I played the demo. It had some cool elements, but again, I'm just not quite sure if it's going to be a game I would be very good at. But it's one I'm keeping an eye on. Beneath. Now we get to some more sort of like horror type of games. This one kind of looked interesting, actually. This one's definitely got more of like a horror shooter vibe. I don't know how to. I don't even really know how to say this one, but there's another horror game that looked pretty cool. Double Wii. I don't remember much about this one other than it was really strange and kind of had this horror vibe to it. Jack Holmes, Master of Puppets. I literally picked this one up on sale during the Steam event sale. So I will be checking this one out at some point in the near future. This one is just bizarre. The main thing I hope on this one is I'm hoping you can turn down or off the film grain because it was a little overzealous on that. But you're this dude in some amusement park that has gone crazy. It's like your dark carnival thing. You can ride the rides, like roller coasters and stuff. You can do mini games, but then also you're fighting these weird demented like zombies or creatures or something, and it looks really bizarre, and I'm really curious about it. Stygian Outer Gods. I don't remember much about this one, but I do remember it standing out, and it was something I was sort of curious about. Gobsmacked. I did a demo time video for this recently. It's kind of a platformy roguelike. You're a goblin and you throw things around the environment. You climb up and like all these. It's like a Running Man arena where the crowd gets into it, and you're a goblin. You're killing a bunch of enemies and climbing up structures, and it's a really unique art style. It's got a really cool vibe to it, and I definitely want to play more. Battle Shapers, they're doing massive updates to that, I guess. That's been out for a while. It's like a multiplayer, like roguelike type of thing or something. You're supposed to try to get up these towers or something. Blood Rush, I don't remember. They didn't show too much of this one, I don't think. Cruel. This one is, I'm really wanting to see this one. This one, good Lord. There's a lot of indoor environments, hallways, rooms, kicking dudes, blowing them up, shooting them. I mean, there were guys everywhere. It was super fast. It just looked super intense, but it looks like just the kind of game I want to play. This one, I don't know when it's coming, but I want to play it. Dross, I don't really know enough about this one. It looked a little bit weird, but I don't really know a lot about this one. High Fructose. I don't know. Fruit Ninja meets a shooter and weirdness. That's about all I can say. Is it's on my wish list. It's really weird looking, and because it's just so weird looking and it's a shooter, I kind of want to know more. But it's weird. Psycho Finger. This one's got a really unique art style, but you're using like these finger attack things, and there's like hordes of enemies. It's got this really cartoony art style. Very unique. Want to check that out. Vapor Maze, this one looked kind of neat, but again, this is one I think that might be hard to see because, like, they had a lot of 80s thing going on. They had like boom boxes and Game Boys they were showing, but there was a lot of, I don't know if it was bloom lighting but there was a lot of like, it was really, I don't know if saturated is the right word, but there was some effect that kind of there was a lot of brightness to it. There was a lot of, I could see contrast issues it was a neat looking game, but at the same time, I'm unsure at this point how well I'd be able to play it. Void Side, I think I grabbed the demo for this. I don't remember a lot about it other than it looked kind of cool. Anti-Shoot, I saw somebody streaming this one, and there's a demo out for it. I wasn't really sold too much on this one. It's kind of a wave-based shooter from what I can tell. Kind of, I don't know. I mean, it could be early on, so, they might add more, they might improve it or whatever, but this one I wasn't, I don't know, I was kind of meh on that one. Then we got some medieval games. I promise, we're getting toward the end. Blood Thief, it looked really cool, but there was so much. Again, this is one where you're wall running while you're shooting dudes. Like you're jumping, you're platforming, you're wall running. This is one that I don't know that I would be good at, even though it looks cool. Among Blood and Dreams, this one, I haven't done a video for it yet because I'm waiting. I talked to the developer, and I'm hoping they're going to allow some different font options. It's like a first-person dungeon crawler with traps and potions and rings and enemies and whatever. But the font they use is really stylized and it's very hard to read. And so I did contact the developer about that. So we'll see if I hope that they are able to fix that. Coven Episode 1 is coming Q4. I know I've done a demo video for this. I believe this is the cultist one where you're burnt at the stake at the beginning of the game, and then you're just shooting dudes and creatures in the face. This one I'm very much looking forward to. Tower of Mask, it's like an old dungeon crawl, like seems melee focused, but kind of shootery. I'm not sure what to think about it because there's some inventory stuff and whatever, but I'm very intrigued. Never Looted Dungeon, I tried this at some point, and I think I remember having a little bit of trouble with some aspects of it, but I do want to learn more about this one. I do want to see how it shapes up, because there's a lot about it that I liked, and so we'll see how it goes. Wizardom, I covered that on the channel, very much like this game. It's kind of a medieval Wolfenstein type of game. I really enjoy, and I guess episode 2 literally just dropped a few days ago. Protos Magus, it's like a first-person spell crafting, like a heretic type of thing, but it's really focused on casting spells and stuff. Sorceress, another kind of a spell casting magic-based game that also looks pretty darn good. Spirit Walker, I don't know. I mean, it looked unique, but I'm not quite sure about this one yet. Ivor, this one I had never even heard of. I remember adding it to my wish list today. This one looks really cool. Like this one, again, looks just like the kind of shooter that I really want to play. I don't really know how else to describe it, but it looked really good. Serum, this is kind of like a survival thing where like have some illness or something, you're killing enemies and creatures and you have to survive or something. You got some guy talking to you over the radio. I don't know, I thought it looked kind of neat actually. Aqua Metsis or something like that. It kind of looked interesting, but there was a lot of text and a lot of UI in this one, so I think I'm probably going to stay away from that one. Athanasia, I don't know what that is. I don't remember. I vaguely remember the name, but I don't remember what it is. Lonely Space. This one also looked really kind of interesting. I might have played a demo or something of it at some point, but what they showed in the updated trailer today actually looked really quite good. And I'm very curious to see what that's going to be like. It's kind of got more of like I don't know if it was going for more of like a Half-Life type of thing, but it didn't seem like a real, like a boomer shooter. That one, I think you also had a lot more like inventory management that you were doing and whatnot, but that one I want to check out. Parkside, I'm not sure on that one. This is another one I'm not quite sure about right now. Retro Space, I know I've seen the trailer before, and I don't know if I've played a demo. Again, very unique art style, but kind of cool. Might have to see what that one does. Sonar Shock, this is another one I think that was going to be a little bit harder to see for me. So it's kind of one of those wait and see type of games, but I had a little bit of trouble seeing parts of that one. Zombalians. This one is also very weird. I've known about this one for a while. Don't recall if I played a demo, but again, today looked, a little more polished than what I'd seen before. It's one that I'm surely going to keep an eye on. And you know what? We did it. We finally made it to the end. Whew. I know, that was exhausting. I know I didn't give you a lot of information on the shooters, and I could have just said, hey, there was a lot of shooters, I liked it. But again, if you are, I know the accessible game videos absolutely get the most views. Anything assistive technology or that totally blind people can play or use or do whatever. I know those get the most views. I know the boomer shooters, retro shooters, for the most part, don't do near as well view-wise. But, I have good and bad news. If you like those kind of games, fear not, because as you just saw, there's a shit ton of them coming, and I will likely be covering a lot of them. So if you're into that thing, you're going to like it. That's the good news. The bad news is if you don't like it, well, I'm still going to be covering them anyway, because boomer shooters and just first-person shooters in general in a lot of cases, they're my jam. So, I try to find things that people will enjoy on the channel, but you know what? I got to play the things I like too. And I love me some first-person shooters. And so we're going to play them and we're going to cover them. That, my friends, is the end of today's video. I know I've babbled long enough, but stay tuned because there's going to be more. This is going to go up on Sunday. I hope to hell this recorded, because if it didn't, I'm going to be very angry. Monday, sometime later, we're gonna chat Microsoft. We're gonna chat Apple. We're gonna chat Ubisoft, and who knows what other games I'll find out about along the way here in the next 2 days. So stay tuned for all that. And at some point, I'm covering all this stuff this weekend, but I have so many demos I got to play and games that I bought because they were on deep sales for the Summer Game Fest or Summer Indie Shooter Fest or through the Accessibility Showcase. At some point, I got to find time to play all this crap. So there's that. So again, there's going to be a ton of content coming out here. And not to mention stuff I already have recorded, stuff I already want to record. Whew, yeah. So channel isn't going anywhere. That's the good news. But I am going to take a break here and chill for a little bit. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention at the beginning that today apparently is Ghostbusters Day. Because Ghostbusters came out 40 years ago. God, I feel old. And I learned, I knew it before, but I had forgotten. The original Ghostbusters and Gremlins came out on the same day in 1984. Which is really cool, because both are like classic movies. I love both of them. And unfortunately, we're not really seeming to get any Gremlins love. And there's a bunch of stuff on Ghostbusters, but it's like, dude, Gremlins rules. Yeah, man. So as much as I want to do some of this gaming stuff, especially maybe until it gets dark where I can actually see my monitor better, I kind of want to watch me some Ghostbusters and Gremlins today to commemorate me being old, apparently. Because I was like 4 or 5 years old when those came out. Yeah. But with that, I promise we are going to wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Give it a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, right here on YouTube as well. And stay tuned because there's plenty more to come. Later.